Charter Academy. We're going to let some of you in. Welcome, everybody. My name is Steve Pond. I have the incredible privilege of being the principal here at Peak, and I'm so excited you can join Jen and I tonight. We're going to share a lot of great information about Peak, the big picture kind of things. I know many of you have been on tours already, and we're so excited for that. This will be an overview of who we are as a school, who National Heritage Academies is as a management partner. I'm going to wait just another minute and we're going to let some other folks in and we're going to get rolling. So again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Couple of reminders, the application deadline for Peak Charter Academy is Monday, February 28th at 5 p.m. So whether you're filling out that application in person on paper, it does need to be received here at the office by 5 o'clock. We will have staff here until 5. Or if you go on peakcharteracademy.com, you'll see a button that says apply now. Please make sure that's completed and submitted before 5 o'clock so it can get time and date stamped and your child is eligible for our lottery. So we're going to get things rolling. Our fabulous school ambassador, Jen Hankins, is in the comment section and in the chat section. You'll be able to ask her anything about Peak. If it's something personal or specific to your family, we always ask that you email us or call us so we can answer that personally for you, as to not share any information about you or your family or your child that you might not want to be public. We have lots of friends online here. It will be uploaded, so if you do need to leave early, you can come back and watch this at a later time, or you can watch a previous episode as well. So Peak Charter Academy is a no-cost public charter school. A lot of people have questions about charter schools. Charters are authorized by the state of North Carolina. Unlike schools in the district, though, we don't report or belong to a district. In fact, we're a school district all on our own. We have one school and one district. We're the only school in it. We are a no-cost charter school. We follow all the same guidelines as public schools across the state and here in the county. We are authorized by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. They have issued a charter or permission to run a public school to our nonprofit school board. We are managed by a school board that operates the same way as the county board does, or any other district boards or city boards might do. Our board decided when they opened, they wanted to partner with an organization to help run the school on a day-to-day basis. And that amazing company that they partner with is National Heritage Academies, who are based out of Michigan, and they have schools in 9 states all over the country. We have approximately 760 students here at Peak. We have grown as much as we're going to grow. We serve students in elementary and middle school, so that's kindergarten through 8th grade. So if your child enters at kindergarten, you have the amazing opportunity to stay with us for 9 years, which is pretty awesome. The other great thing, you may have heard a lot on the news about schools being capped, students being reassigned. Those are really, really bad things. I've worked in 2 different districts. Those are things that make people miserable and really, really unhappy. Especially if you've moved to an area because you want to be near a school and you didn't move in time, so you didn't pass the cap cutoff, so you might get put on a bus and sent to another school. We will never do that to you. We don't redistrict. We don't reassign. As long as you and your scholar reside in the state of North Carolina at the time you apply, you are eligible to come to Peak. In fact, we have served as many as 7 counties since we opened. We currently serve students from 5 counties: Chatham, Durham, Wake, Lee, and Harnett. We've also served Johnston County in the past and Alamance County. We had a family that lived in the Burlington area. One parent worked in the Greensboro area. The other worked in Raleigh. And so they chose for their child to come with us. I mentioned National Heritage Academies. They are a nationwide education management organization that partners with school boards to help operate schools on a day-to-day basis. They know what they're doing. They have close to 100 schools in 9 states. And together, all of our close to 100 schools serve and support 60,000 plus students. As I mentioned, we have 761 spots at Peak, and that will be the same each year. National Heritage Academies has the same mission for every single school that they operate, and that is to challenge each child to achieve. It's a very simple, fundamental, foundational mission that's in place, but it's something that we are wholeheartedly committed to, and we point all of our efforts to doing that. When our school opened, Peak Charter Academy's board was given the charter about a year and a half before we actually opened, and their mission is to help develop students into critical and active collaborators who become eager contributors to their learning. We want to make sure our students themselves are invested in everything we're doing at Peak, and we want to make sure we give them those skills that they can exceed in life, in college, or if they go into the career field. We want to make sure that we challenge all students and provide a rigorous and relevant and engaging instructional experience for them. You may have heard a little bit about Peak Charter Academy over the last 5 years. We want to share some of the local and even national recognitions that we've received. Locally, in each of the past 3 years, we have been named Best Public School and having the Best Elementary Principal by Carey Magazine. Those Maggie Awards come out every year, and that covers Western Wake County. We've also received recognition for being Hulafrog.com's most loved charter school in the region in 2019, 20, and 21. And as of last week, we learned that we've received that recognition again for 2022. It's incredibly humbling, and we're really excited to share a little bit of our community with you. So 4 years straight with that Most Loved Award, 3 years straight with the Maggie Awards. And in addition, we have been named a Purple Star Award winner as a North Carolina school. If you are a military family, you are always welcome here. And that Purple Star Award is actually a designation that we had bestowed on us by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and the State Board of Education for the extra efforts that we give and the extra ways we support military families who are doing their part to serve this great nation of ours. We want to make sure everybody feels welcome at Peak, and the military families who often may move around a lot or have other needs, we're going to help you with that. So if you're a military family, please feel free to reach out to us. We can actually connect you with some of the veteran educators or administrators on our staff. We also, the last time North Carolina counted the school report cards and gave a grade, we received an A in our second year of operation, but also in the bottom corner, you'll see that we exceeded state growth. The state of North Carolina determines how much a school should grow based on their proficiency of their student body the previous year. So in our first year, we got a B, and we met that growth, which is incredibly hard to do because we were a new school serving scholars from 40 plus different schools all over the area. So we brought all these amazing scholars in, and our teachers worked with them, and our students did an amazing job. And so we met the growth that we needed to do to get the growth recognition award from the state. But in year two, our teachers and our parents and our scholars partnered together, and we had an incredibly successful year. We not only have and currently hold an A on our last report card, but also exceeded the growth that was prescribed for us. One of the newest recognitions that was a surprise to us that we received in the mail was U.S. News and World Reports has national awards that they give out each year, as well as state awards. And we were named one of the top charter schools in the entire state of North Carolina by U.S. News for our middle school. Middle school proficiency and growth was evaluated last year. We still took all of our state tests and our examinations last year. We have a school report card. You can look that up if you search North Carolina school report cards, and you will be able to see all the performance, not only for Peak, but of other schools as well. We received that recognition from U.S. News and World Report magazine and their website. The other really neat thing, the blue squares that are on each side of your screen, those are incredible recognitions that we've received, and it's because of the very unique way that we do things at Peak Charter. The International Center for Leadership in Education evaluates schools each year, and in 2020, there were 15 schools throughout the entire country that were deemed to be a model school. We were one of those 15. It was incredibly humbling, and what a surprise recognition that we were viewed to be at that level nationwide. But then to repeat that in 2021 and becoming one of 16 schools in 2021 to receive that recognition and to receive that designation in 2 straight years. And it's all about the unique instructional program that we offer here at Peak that I'm happy to share more about. Once we have our lottery, we'll have a whole night all about the instructional model and the academic excellence we pursue at Peak. So those are just some of the recognitions we receive both at the local and national level. And we'd love for you to be a part of our pirate crew so you can experience the reasons why Peak Charter Academy is becoming so well known. Another thing I mentioned before is the Carey Magazine and the Maggie Awards we've been so honored to receive. One of their magazine editions that they put out every November features excellence in education. So if you can locate those, or if you want to look on the Carey Magazine website, you can read all about Peak Charter Academy, because for the last couple years, we've been featured in their excellence in education section. I know it's very small to read, but there's a lot of great information in general about Peak and what we've done year to year to continue our growth as a school and as a community. One of the things I mentioned earlier is that we did take all of our standardized testing last year as a school. Those were required to be taken by the state. They were canceled in 2019-20 school year because that's when the pandemic took off. But last year, even though we were and still currently are in the middle of the pandemic, the state wanted to make sure that we evaluated our students' performance in comparison to what we are supposed to be doing, the standards we're supposed to be teaching, and the educational scope and sequence that we're supposed to be delivering. So there is a website called schooldigger.com. It's all one word. And what they do is they aggregate school performance data. So even though the school report cards just came out and you can see some of this there, School Digger looked at all of our school standardized testing, because that's the way the state rates us and evaluates us. And we were actually named the 32nd best elementary school in the entire state, and that's 1,471 schools. There are 733 middle schools, and we ranked 23rd out of the entire state. And as I mentioned earlier, we're not only an individual charter school, but because we are a sole entity with our own board, we count as a school district, just like Wake and Johnston and Durham and Chatham, Lee, all of the districts within this area. We are compared against them. And it was incredibly humbling to be recognized. And based on our student performance, we are the number 6 school district in the entire state. You can go on schooldigger.com. It's all one word, SCHOOLDIGGER, if it's too small to see on your screen. You can look up Peak Charter Academy, and not only will you see all of these 5-star awards and recognitions, you'll be able to click and see the data either here or on the North Carolina School Report Card site. One of the unique things about Peak, and I've served in schools both at the public, private, and university level. We have a 4-member administrative team for our 761 scholars, whereas most of the schools that are our size would have a principal and an assistant principal. But what we do that's so different at Peak is we operate on the dean model. So those of you who went to college or university, remember that the department that you earned your degree through probably had a dean that served within the school division of your university. What we do here is each of the parts or wings of our school have their own administrator. So Connie Eastman is the kindergarten through 2nd grade dean. She's been a kindergarten and 2nd grade teacher at Peak and throughout her career before we opened. Casey Gorman is our 3rd through 5th grade dean. She's taught both lower elementary and upper elementary and has that same experience here as Peak. Reggie Pate is our middle school dean. Mr. Pate started with us as a math teacher, continued to move up from 6th to 7th to 8th grade, then became an administrator with us. The 3 of our administrative deans or principals for their wing all have served here as a teacher, and all have been here, as I have, since year 1 at Peak Charter Academy. And again, my name is Steve Pond. My background spans 22 years in education. Prior to that, I worked in real estate property management. I worked in high adventure outdoor education. I ran a summer camp that I used to go to as a child. And I also worked in professional sport management. And I worked full-time for the Durham Bulls, and also did an internship with the Philadelphia Phillies. But the last 22 years, I have worked with students, and I've absolutely loved it. And this is my path, and I'm staying on that path. As I mentioned, I've worked in public education, private education, and at the university level before coming to Peak Charter Academy to plan during the 2016-17 school year. I was a program director at North Carolina State University, working with incoming freshmen who were all from Asia. And it was a program that we worked with to help them learn about America, learn about the college and university system, and to help them acclimate. But since then, I have been here at Peak. A lot of questions come to us about charter schools. And so we came up with this little diagram that helps explain it. So all of the houses in your neighborhood are on a foundation or a crawl space. Our foundation or base of our house are the North Carolina Public Instruction Guidelines, the State Board of Education laws, policies, and procedures, and the Common Core standards and guidelines that are in place in 40-something school states throughout the nation. If we were together, I would ask you to raise your hand if you are not a fan of Common Core. Most of the time, hands pop up, mine included. And that's not because they're standards, it's because of the way that school districts tend to implement them. School districts don't often teach the standard or the expectations. They teach from the curriculum or the book, which are really a script. And so it's the way that the standards are being taught, not the standards themselves. If we were in person, I'd also ask you how many of you have a driver's license, and most hands would pop up. And again, I would ask a couple of you to share how you learned to drive. I remember going with my dad and my grandfather to the mall parking lot on Sunday morning before they opened, big wide open area, and I could practice turning, I could practice stopping, I could pull into parking spaces and make sure I could navigate the lines. I have a good friend from my graduate school who grew up on a farm, and she learned to drive a tractor. So they drove the tractor all over the farm again, so you really couldn't hurt anything, the tractor or anything else. But she and I both learned the same North Carolina driving standards. And so at Peak Charter Academy, we focus on the standards, but we give our teachers the autonomy and flexibility to use things and skills and knowledge that they have to enhance the instruction that you're getting. So those of you who are in counties and districts now, they follow a script and they can't deviate much from that. And so they're delivering quizzes and worksheets and practice experiences that are created not by educators, but by writers at the publishing company or retired teachers or former teachers who are creating these one-dimensional, student-focused practice sheets and practice activities. We give our teachers the opportunity to create those things. Academic excellence is one of our 4 pillars. So in all the NHA schools, the vertical columns you see that hold up the roof, those are the things that we do differently from any other school I've ever been in, but every National Heritage Academy school will do the same things. Those are what we refer to as the 4 pillars, and you'll hear more about them throughout the time after you come in through the lottery and when we start school in August. Each of these has their own meeting that we'll have in April, May, June, and July that we'll invite you to and we'll record as well. I mentioned academic excellence. Our focus here at Peak and my focus for the last 20 or so years as an educator has been differentiated and tiered instruction. We want to meet your child where they're at and then provide a rigorous educational experience for them, whether they need foundation building, whether they're sort of proficient, but they have some gaps to fill, or if they're a scholar who already knows what they're supposed to know and they need challenge and enrichment, we're going to provide that through a rigorous instructional experience. And rigor means the varied level of depth and complexity. So our teachers change the depth and complexity from which they teach, but they're still teaching the standard, and everybody's not getting the same worksheet or workbook activity or test or quiz like they would in other systems in which I've worked. Student responsibility is another one of our pillars, and that's so important because we want to make sure that our students understand that they are accountable and they're responsible for paying attention in class, for completing the activities. If they have a partner or a group, they have an equal commitment to that. The moral focus is super important, and you can read more about that online. There are 9 character traits or virtues that we engage our students in learning through the moral focus program. And it's actually a class period every single day. And then the final pillar that we focus on is parent partnership. You are such an important part of our school because we are a school of choice, and you're making that decision to join our pirate crew, our school family. And those 4 pillars, they support the roof. And again, if we were in person, I'd ask how many of you have flown on an airplane into RDU International Airport. Again, most of the hands go up, mine included. And what we want you to think about is all of the neighborhoods you see as you're flying in and landing at RDU. lots of neighborhoods, they look very similar. They're laid out very similarly, but all of them have a different roof. Some of them have orange and gray and blue and black and whatever color roofs, and they're all shaped differently to support to cover the house that they are over. Just like our children are all different, and we tier and differentiate instruction to meet their needs. The roof here at Peak Charter Academy is different from any other school in the community or any other school within the NHA family. The pillars might be the same, the foundation is the same, but we're a little bit different from others, and we deliver what we call the Peak Triangle. So our focus is making sure that we have social wellness, emotional wellness, and academic wellness. And our Peak Triangle, the foundation for that is academics because we are a school, but Peak is unique. And then if you look on the top of the screen, we have our individual board of directors. They are the bright sunshine that shines over us. They are the guidance and the oversight for our school, where NHA is the daily operations through those 4 pillars. We are a charter school. As I mentioned, public charter schools are open to all. We are not private. We don't turn anybody away. There's no cost to attend here. We are highly accountable. We are directly supervised by the State Board of Education and the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. Whereas if you go to a county, you're at the school level, then you might have an associate superintendent or an administrative superintendent. Then you might have over them another level, and above them another level, and finally you have the superintendent for the county. So that's 5 levels where information can be filtered out, or if it's a top down, filtered away from the school. We have a direct line of communication with the Department of Charter Schools at the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, so closely to the fact that their phone numbers are in my phone and my phone number is in their phone. So we operate very closely and very consistently with the Department of Public Instruction. We have an incredibly diverse community. The last time we surveyed our families, we support parents or children who were born in 39 different countries, and they speak 25 different languages. So we have an incredibly diverse family. And because of that, we have a high level of support for our English learners. If your child is struggling with English, or they're learning English, or it's a second language in your home, we are going to work with you and them and partner with them to help them to be more successful, because when they have a stronger grasp of the language, they're going to be more successful in the classroom. We also have full comprehensive special education services, and we follow all state and federal guidelines for schools, whether it's in North Carolina or the United States of America. Again, these are the 4 pillars that are in place at every NHA school, and certainly here at Peak Charter. As I mentioned before, we differentiate and we tier instruction, level instruction, again, through foundation and knowledge building, through proficiency reinforcement to make sure that children who have met that minimum level of expectation can grow from that level, and we can fill in any gaps that we may identify through the learning experiences they have here. Much like if you're on a road and you see potholes, you want to make sure that the town comes and they fill in those potholes so your advancement to or from your house is much more smooth and direct. We do that with our scholars. They may know most of what they're supposed to know, but they may have areas of weakness, much like they have areas of success. And then the students, again, who know what they're supposed to know already, by the time they get to that grade level, we're going to enrich them and challenge them. One of the ways we do that is we departmentalize our instruction starting in 3rd grade. Kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade students stay in the same classroom with their teacher, who differentiates the instruction they get through the small groups that they create, again, so they can build foundations, they can reinforce proficiency, or they can challenge and enrich. When your scholar gets to 3rd grade, our teachers focus their instruction each in a content area. So we have an English language arts teacher, we have a science teacher, we have a math teacher, and they teach class periods even in the middle school and the elementary school. So what you and I may have experienced in our high school or in college or in middle school, where you have that teacher or professor who is an expert in what they're doing, our students start that in 3rd grade, and each class is tiered at the level where their students are at for the purpose of growing them. In the counties and across the state, we all take the end of grade assessment. And on that end of grade assessment, you have to score a 3, 4, or 5 to pass. What a 3 usually is in the high 40s. So proficiency or passing rate is when you're in the high 40s. I'm a parent of a student here as well, and I want my child to pass at a level that's higher than the high 40s or low 50s. And so we don't just try to challenge our scholars to be proficient and to meet that level. We challenge them to demonstrate growth. So a much higher level, because if you only target proficiency at this level, you may not get much growth. But if you challenge them to grow, you're going to get a higher level of proficiency. We've not only seen that here, but I've also studied it in my own personal experience as a doctoral student. I'm completing my doctorate at this time. One of the other things that makes us different is we don't do the ABC day rotations with our classes. You won't have music Monday, PE Tuesday, technology Wednesday, art Thursday, and then recycle that. What happens there is those teachers have to teach all 761 students every week in their content area. So they're not getting much depth and complexity in what they're doing. So we do it differently. We have 4 academic quarters within our year. Each are 45 days long, and your student will have music for an entire quarter every day, and the same with PE, technology, and art. That allows them to become so immersed in what they're doing, their proficiency becomes much higher, and they become masters. They become challenged and enriched with what they're doing every day. And an example I like to share is if you go to the gym and you only go on Monday, then the following week you go on Wednesday, then you might come in on Thursday or Friday the following 2 weeks. You really have a lot of gaps in your training or your working out. Whereas if you went every single day and you worked with a personal trainer, the music teacher, PE teacher, tech teacher, or art teacher, you're going to know a lot more, and you're going to be immersed in that content area, and the quality and depth of your work is going to show the rigor and the knowledge and the depth and complexity that you now have at the gym or your children have in those 4 quarterly specials. In middle school, we have those teachers teach the same thing, but they teach electives. So our PE teacher might teach team sports 1 quarter, ball sports another quarter, personal fitness the 3rd quarter, and basketball, because we have a lot of folks that really want to learn basketball and strengthen their skill. And the same thing in technology. It might be app design. Then the next quarter, it might be video games. Then it might be computer programming. In art, it might be sculpture. It might be watercolor. It might continue each of the 4 quarters. And the same thing in music, because we want to give our students choices and then give them deep and complex instruction in those areas. In normal years that aren't pandemic years, we also offer clubs every Wednesday, kindergarten through 8th grade. We differ them each academic quarter. So we start them in 2nd quarter. We repeat in 3rd and 4th with different clubs each time. And you can sign your child up starting in 2nd quarter for 1 during the year. And then if we get to 3rd or 4th quarter, you're going to be able to sign them up for anything that might be open. We also offer middle school athletics. We play in a conference against our other NHA schools. We also play non-conference matchups against other schools in the community. And those sports are co-ed cross country in the fall, girls volleyball, and boys soccer in the fall. We do have boys and girls basketball in the winter, along with cheer, which is a co-ed, along with any boys that want to come out, in addition to our young ladies. And then in the spring, we play girls soccer. We, as I shared earlier, are a life and college preparatory school. We want to get your child ready for those advanced high school courses. So we have started what we call the Accelerate program, where we teach high school math in 8th grade. And in the past, we've also taught it in 7th grade, because we've had students come in that already took Math 1, which is your 9th grade math, at the school from where they came. We want to get them ready for college, career, or life. So we're going to do that. In the future, we want to add accelerated English and science classes so they can earn their high school credits while they're in 8th grade. They can then go to high school, and the possibility is there that they can graduate a semester earlier. They can take more electives or do more activities. I mentioned before the emotional and social wellness of our students. That's part of the 3-tiered or 3-sided peak triangle, along with academics. We want to get to know your child. We want to understand their needs, because we want to be able to support them. And because there's only 84 students in each grade level and 88 in kindergarten, we want to make sure that we keep the opportunity to get to know them better. We also want to make them look outward rather than inward. The way I describe it is you're standing in your house. We want them to look out a window to see the world rather than looking into a mirror to see them reflect back at themselves. And one of the big ways we do that is through our Peak Cares program. That started this September. We opened in August of 2017. And it was when there was a really strong, powerful hurricane that hit Texas and really devastated Texas. And so one of our grade levels wanted to do something to support Texas. So we looked up, we partnered with the Red Cross, and we had a drive to support them. We've done something every month, even through the beginning of the pandemic. We have taken a slowdown. We haven't completely stopped it, but we're not doing things every month because some of those are outside of our school. We want to make sure we keep people safe and not put them into a situation where we don't know the health and wellness of others. But we've done several things this year, partnering with the Ronald McDonald House, partnering with, in the past, Bikes for the World, to have you all bring in bicycles that your children have outgrown, because there are local and global communities that really need bicycles so they can transport their children and their families, whether it's to school or to the town or community in which they live. We've done things to partner with the Raleigh Rescue Mission and the Durham Rescue Mission. So there's a lot of things we've done each year. We want to be grateful to the police and the firefighters in our community. So one of the Peak Cares initiative that we do in March each year is to collect gift baskets and to bring things in, and then they're delivered to the local heroes that serve and support our community. So keep an eye out once you're here for Peak Cares programs through our amazing PTO. We always get the question about our staff, because you may or may not know that in charter schools, 75% of elementary students have to be qualified to teach, and only 50% of middle school students. Pardon me while I take a drink. We make sure before we hire somebody that they are either licensed or license eligible to be here. So 100% of our staff either already hold their license or are eligible to get it once they apply to the state. That could be anything. It could be teachers who recently graduated. It could be people who moved from another state because you have to reapply for North Carolina. And there's usually an 8 to 12 week time delay to get those because they are processing everybody's application for a license. And we want to make sure, and we double check before they even set foot in our school, that they are license eligible, whereas other charter schools don't have to do that. And public schools can even finagle things to bring folks in that don't have a license and aren't eligible. And private schools can pick anybody that they want to teach. It could be somebody that gets laid off from Lenovo, and I could say, hey, I like you and I know you from my neighborhood. Come teach math for me. And so there's really no education, training, or background. We make sure our folks have that and that they are license eligible or already hold that. One of the things we do is we make sure we interview folks. We look at their background. We look at previous evaluations that their former faculty members and their administrators have given them. We make sure that they come in and they teach a class so we can observe them. We even talk to the children after that teacher candidate leaves to find out what they thought about that teacher in comparison to other candidates we bring in, because most of us on staff who have school-age children, our kids are here. I personally have my son here, and my litmus test is, do I want this person teaching my son? Would I want my son in this person's class? And if the answer is no, they're not going to be in anybody's classroom here. And we have deep ongoing professional development starting in the summer before each school year and going throughout the year. If you look at our calendar online, you'll see that there are regional professional development where we partner with all of the schools throughout the state, and our teachers who teach math work and learn together. Our PE teachers work and learn together. Our administrators can get together and they can learn things. And so we make sure that they are working with their colleagues to be able to strengthen their own practice when they return to Peak. I mentioned before and introduced you to Dean Eastman, Dean Gorman, and Dean Pate. It's much like that college model where the deans supervise the faculty. That's what they do. All three of our deans have been master teachers here at Peak Charter Academy, so they are well prepared to support their teachers, to give insights, to give suggestions, to make sure that they are delivering the highest quality of instructional practice and planning that they can. We coach and we meet every week through what's called O3s, which means one-on-one. And so our new teachers and our early year teachers, we meet every week. And our veteran teachers, sometimes it's every 2 weeks because they're mentors and they are meeting in alternating weeks with their beginning teachers. It allows for them to be the principal or manager of their wing, which is either kindergarten through second, third through fifth, or middle school. And it allows them to be highly visible for their students so their students can see them every day that they are here. I mentioned the Moral Focus program. There are 9 virtues we do throughout the year. We have actually created a class period to begin the school day every day with a focus with lessons all about whatever the virtue is that month. February is courage. We teach lessons. We engage our students in discussions every single day in February about courage. We have grade level assemblies and gatherings. We have wing level, which are 3 grades together. And we also have school-wide assemblies. We have delayed those because we don't want to bring 761 people and 50 faculty members all together in one common space because we want to make sure that we are as safe and focused on wellness as we can. One of the things I mentioned already is safety here. We have actually been named a National Safety Eagle Award winner by National Heritage Academies because our commitment to safety is in the 90th percentile of all of our schools nationwide. And you'll see that when you come in. You'll see the Raptor system where if you're a parent, even if we know you, we scan your ID. It does an instant background check so we can see if you're on any of the registries or directories that mean that you shouldn't be around children. I don't want to go into further detail in case any of your children are watching, but hopefully you can think about people that you don't want around children. It does a quick background check and it notifies me and the deans immediately if someone comes up with an issue so we can address that and escort that person out of the building. We want to keep your children engaged. As I mentioned earlier, one of our commitments is to, one of our 4 pillars in our commitments is student responsibility. We want them to be engaged. We want them to understand their accountability as learners and to take that responsibility and to make sure that they understand what natural consequences are. And if they're making a choice to not turn in their homework, they may not get a grade on it. If they're making a choice to not follow or meet expectations at recess, they may have to sit out of recess. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do in the lunchroom, they may have to move tables and sit by themselves for a bit. We make sure they're natural consequences and they're related to whatever choice they have made to help them understand what would be the wise choice and what wouldn't. Parent partnership is one of our other pillars. We have community events. We have spirit nights in the neighborhood. Normally, aside from the pandemic, we do things here at school. We have an amazing PTO, as I shared. We also have conferences twice a year that we invite you in for. We're doing those virtually right now, but normally you would come to the school, or you could do virtually or by phone, whatever is most convenient for you. Excuse me. We also want to make sure our teachers are available. So we ask all of our teachers to respond to your call or email within 48 hours. And we ask our parents and guardians to do the same. As you may know, we opened in 2017-18. So this is our 5th school year. We had our full 8th grade, 3 classes in 2020 and 2021 school year, which was last year. We have 4 sections of kindergarten with 22 students in each. We have 3 sections of every other grade with a maximum of 84 students across the grade level. Now, when we admit students, we do enroll 1 more per classroom because we want to make sure we're full. That's one of the commitments that we make to the Department of Public Instruction is that we cannot be under enrolled. That's one of the guidelines. So throughout September, you will see that we have 1 more student so we can make sure that we're fully enrolled and we meet that expectation. I mentioned the Raptor system, the visitor management system. In addition to Raptor and the quick background check when you come in, we have cameras in every classroom. We have cameras in our common areas as well, our hallways, so we can make sure we can always look back at something, and they're live so we can see things as well. Access to the building, if you've come here for a tour, you'll know that it is limited to the front door, and there's a camera and a microphone when you push that buzzer. And Hannah or Shauna in our office, Hannah is our office administrator, Shauna is our registrar. They'll be able to see you, and then they let you into the lobby. The lobby is fully locked at all times. So that's why you can come in, they can slide the window, which is shatter resistant, and they can ask you, how may I help you? And you can say, I'm here for a tour with Jen, who's answering questions in the comment area. Jen will then say, okay, and she knows she has a 9 o'clock tour, and she can say, Mrs. Jones, Mr. Smith, and you can acknowledge that, and you are never alone in the building. You're always escorted. Access is always limited. That's the door you go in and out. All of our other doors are locked and secured unless you have a badge like the teachers do that will let you in. Our commitment to your students and to our families is that we want to teach them to be responsible, to work hard, to focus on their academics, focus on their social and emotional wellness, and to take responsibility, as we talked about with our pillars, because we want to make sure that we not only have good students academically, but we have great people socially and emotionally and academically as well. I want to remind you that you need to apply by 5 p.m. next Monday, the 28th. It needs to be either turned into our office and they'll timestamp it if it's a paper application. If you have mailed it, we can't control the U.S. mail. So if you have a paper application, please bring it by to us. And we will host an online lottery at 2 p.m. It's also one of our board meetings. Our board will be present because guidelines in North Carolina require it be a board meeting. So our board will be there and the online lottery will be happening. That's next Monday. And that's the end of what we are talking about. I want to make sure that we check to make sure that any questions have been answered. I'm going to go ahead and log into YouTube as well so I can see anything, but I know Jen has done a great job answering things. I'm going to turn my camera off so I can look over at YouTube. And thank you, Jen, for messaging me with all the questions. A couple of things that Jen has not been able to answer. I want to share with you a couple of questions about a high school. We are kindergarten through 8th grade. There are plans in the future to consider a high school in the area. We have several NHA schools within the Triangle. We also have one in Johnston County and one down in the Winterville, Greenville area. There are not firm plans yet, but our goal is always to make sure that we keep you as transparent as we can with our messaging. There are conversations that we're having, but there are no firm plans yet. I have a middle school student. I would certainly love to have that high school. We will always keep you updated as possible. Kindergarten applications, I don't have that total number now, but we will share that at the lottery on Monday. STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are part of what we do on a regular basis. We don't label them STEM, but they are a part of everything that we do. So your child will experience those. I see another question about the online lottery. That is the March 7th lottery. It is done online as well. Let's see. Thank you, Jen, for sending those. I'm just going through to see other things as well. Cameras in the classroom are there for safety and security, but because of the privacy of other students, we don't make those public, just like we won't give other parents access to video recordings of your child as well, but we do consider them as well. A question about feeder schools for high schools. Our scholars, wherever they live, can go to whatever high school they look up on the school system's website and they see that they're able to go to. They can also apply to magnet high schools. They can apply to other private high schools or the charter schools in the area. So please just look up by your address, whatever county you live in. That will tell you your high school. It'll also tell you the alternative high schools if you have a cap. Some of you may live in the region of Apex Friendship. You may have seen or heard about the cap that was just put in place because they have so many students already. That cap, to my understanding, was as long as you lived in your current home within Apex Friendship's region for enrollment before April 15th, 2021, your child can still go there. If you move to the area after that date, they may reassign you to another school. We do have a social work on our campus. Thank you for answering that as well. 8th grader homework question. We target 15 minutes per grade level for the the maximum amount of homework you should have per night. I have a 7th grader. Sometimes he has homework, sometimes he does not. But unless he drags it on and never does it, he never exceeds that 15 minutes times the 7th grade. That does exclude reading. We want our students to read regularly. So some of the grades, especially the lower grades, will have a reading log as well. The paraprofessional question. Thank you for answering that, Jen. We don't have assigned teacher assistants to a classroom. What has happened over the last decade or so is that teacher assistants have become the assistant to the teacher rather than instructional and academic support for the student, which is what legally they're supposed to be, especially if they are funded through grants that are given to the local, state, or given by the local, state, or federal government. So the district schools that I have been at, a lot of time what the teacher assistants have become is, hey, the teacher might say, hey, will you grade these papers? Or, hey, I heard there's cake or bagels, anything like that in the break room. Run and get me a corner piece, or run and get me a egg bagel with butter and jelly. And so you're really becoming the teacher's assistant rather than the academic support for the child. We have paraprofessionals. We have 6.5 right now, and they go room to work at different times on a schedule to partner with the teacher to support students. And I just heard another text. Percentage diversity is a great question. You can look online to see that. Without looking at the numbers, most schools in the area are minority. We serve students from all over the world, as I shared, 39 countries of origin who speak 25 languages. So our majority are those students who come from other places and or minorities who are from America or live in America. At last time I checked, without going into all the numbers because I don't want to speculate, we were 41.6 or 41.8 Caucasian, and then everybody else comprised the rest of our student body. We absolutely love it because we are one of the most diverse schools in the nation for National Heritage Academies, and also in the area and region as well. Spots in a certain particular grade, we won't know yet until the application window closes, and some of the parents still have not let us know if they are coming back or not. We will share that at the lottery, there may not be many seats available in a grade level or any seats available in the grade level. That's because it's February and parents might not know their plans yet for August. So every single year we have a very low number of seats available at the lottery. Please, please, please don't let that disappoint you, and please don't back out. What we want to share is that there will be openings that take place over the summer and even in late summer as we're getting ready to open, because that's what we may find. Somebody says, hey, I'm moving, or we got job transferred, or there's a family separation or change that one parent lives here and one parent lives here, and it's too hard to drive to and from school. So as we're going through the summer, we will always notify you. You can always contact us to learn what your place on the wait list if you don't get a spot. Antonio, thank you for your comment. The reason I said Caucasian is because that's what the state documentation refers to regarding ethnicity. They say African American, they say Asian, which includes folks from India. They do say Caucasian. They say Hispanic. They also say Alaskan as well. So there's lots of different categories that the state of North Carolina, how they categorize children, and Caucasian is one of the categories that is utilized to describe children's ethnicity in North Carolina. So thanks for the pointing out about that. But it is the term that is used by the state. If you look up any reports, we don't try to label our students, but we do use the terms that the state shares with us. So I don't see any other questions popping up. We're very, very happy to answer any questions you have as you approach next week's application deadline. If you have not applied yet, we urge you to do that. You can go on our website, click the Apply Now button. It's all electronic. It will send immediately to our office, and we will get that. There's a couple of things that our registrar, Shauna Meyer, needs to verify about each application to make sure they're complete, make sure addresses are accurate and within North Carolina. If anybody's joining us from out of state, please know that you actually have to reside. You have to have a domicile in North Carolina. Otherwise, your application is excluded. So Shauna has actually removed several folks from the lottery pool. You will find out after the lottery about a selection for a spot that's open or an assignment to the wait list. Some of you may have multiple siblings that you're applying for. Each needs to have their own application. But one of the things the state lets us do now is give a sibling preference. So the main sibling preference are any children of board members or staff members. They get in or they're at the top of the wait list. Then the next priority is given to siblings. So if one of your children gets in and the other is number 100 on the kindergarten list, they move as high as they can on the kindergarten list below any staff members' children's that may be on the wait list or anybody who has a sibling that's already on. So we always encourage, if one child gets in, now that that new guideline was passed that we're allowed to bring siblings as high as we can on the wait list, please, 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 we encourage you to accept that spot for one child and then ride it out for the other if your circumstances and situations allow you to have one child at one school and maybe one child at another. In the past, it's always been the other sibling has to stay wherever they're at. So it makes it highly unlikely that both will be at school together. But now with the change last year, we're incredibly excited and happy about that. So thank you very much for joining us. I don't see any more questions, but if you want to ask information that's personal to your family or your child, please email Jen back or please email me. You can cut and paste Jen's email address. And instead of Jen, you can just put SPOND. My first name is Steve. So instead of J Hankins, it would be SPOND after the 107, which is just our school number, at nhaschools.com. We're happy to answer anything that we legally can about the school, and we're happy to give you any information about your family, maybe a situation that you want to ask about, or something about your child. So thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here and for being so excited about Peak Charter Academy. We look forward to having all of you join us. The lottery is going to be telecast on, it's an online lottery. It'll be on the YouTube, and you'll be able to watch that as well as it happens. And then they will follow up with snail mail, and you can always call and email as well, so you know your spot, whether you're in or you have a wait list. One of the things about the lottery is if there's an open spot, whatever child is in that spot, they will usually call out or read out a name. There are changes to that because we don't want to read children's full name aloud. So you may just see a number. There's lots of letters going out in the mail today or tomorrow that will be going out to you. So if you see anything from Peak Charter Academy or National Heritage Academies, that's going to have your child's registration number. That's what you're going to see at the lottery. Most likely, we won't put anybody's names up so we can ensure your child and your family's privacy. So the lottery is live. It will be under events on our Facebook page and on the YouTube page that you're watching this on. And it'll go live shortly before 2 o'clock because on the 7th of March, because that's when our board will go live, and then the lottery will be a part of that board meeting. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to end things here. We're at the hour mark. We're at the 56-minute mark. We always want to value and appreciate your time. So we always try to keep our meetings under an hour. But if you do have any questions, please email us. Please give us a call. Hannah or Shauna can answer most questions, or you can they can get me the information or Jen the information. And we hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.